How does protecting physical safety fit with the overall look at psychological safety?
Well, this may seem like an odd factor to consider when we're talking about psychological safety, but it's an important consideration. Let's say I work in a nuclear plant and you say to me, look, I don't have the hazardous materials gear, I just want you to go down there and get to work. It's very likely that this could result in me having a continual fear about exposure to radiation. In fact, I once worked with a guy who had really severe depression. He realized he'd been exposed to a cancer-causing chemical in his work, and for the next 2 decades, he spent a lot of time worrying about this exposure. In reality, the worry probably caused him way more harm than the chemical did. And that's the connection. If we don't feel like our employer is protecting our physical safety and we don't feel safe, then that can impact our psychological health.
Would other examples be of people who work alone, like a gas station attendant, a custodian, even a social worker, who may have to investigate a complaint that's of violence and they're going out alone?
In any of these examples, the worker may never actually receive harm or injury, but it's that anticipation of it with no backup plan, with no protection, that could lead to psychological injury or feeling unsafe.
So it's a best practice then to include policies and training around these kinds of risks to physical safety. Speaking to those employees who are actually experiencing the threats and engaging them in a conversation about what would work is key. For example, the gas station attendant, he could have a panic button that he could summon help if he was feeling threatened. The custodian could arrange to be checking with his other fellow custodians on a regular basis, and the social worker could work at having tools in her basket so that if she feels threatened, or he, that they know what their plan of action is.
Yeah, these are all great actions.
So what happens when organizations lack focus in this area?
Well, failing to protect physical safety can actually increase the risk of injury or illness. And when you don't feel safe at work, you're probably going to be less productive and less motivated.
So what are the benefits of paying closer attention to this factor?
Well, I think it's greater confidence in physical safety protection at work, and that results in lower rates of psychological distress, which can translate into lower rates of absenteeism or disability. The concept of a safety climate is linked to this factor as they both relate to the larger cultural climate of the organization. We need to start to see health and safety as including psychological health and psychological safety.